So basically, we know we are talking about web security essentials. Yeah, and like I said, I'm not going to like explain like the very simple ones. It's assumed that you've already gone through the material and um, you already understand some key concepts. Take for example what you can see on the screen currently. You can see spam, you can see denial of service, and the likes of that. Those are the various reasons why people attack a computer system, which I believe we understand. Now, what is web security? We already know that definitely we are protecting the user from different kind of attacks. Sometimes it's not only just the user. It could go beyond the user. It could go like to the server, like trying to protect the server, trying to protect the browser and the likes of that. So that is essentially what web security is. Yet I don't want to start breaking web security down in this class. Assume that we already know what web security is. Now, why is it hard? You can read that up, which I assume that we've already read that. Now let's move to jump on something interesting. There's a domain name system. Now, what happens when you type a URL and you press enter? You know that the moment you do something like that, you're already talking about some kind of web technology. Now, before explaining what you have on the screen, I want to explain something. The way, let me say, who do I use? Let me use Abiba, for example. Abiba's name is Abiba. Yes, we know Abiba. Then she has different phone numbers. I'm sure it's it's easier for me to like master a name than to master a phone number. I don't know if you get. There are some persons that once they come to my DM, they're looking at their picture, I already know their names. You get. So knowing the names is actually easier than knowing their phone number. Okay, that's the idea behind this, even the IP address and the likes of them. DNS means domain name system. Yeah. So looking at what I have here, the internet's DNS system works much like a phone book by managing the mapping between names and numbers. DNS servers translates requests for names into IP addresses, controlling which server an end user will reach when they type a domain name into the web browser. Essentially, what they're trying to say is that if you want to access Google now, so instead of typing the IP address 123. Let's just say it is 123.456.789.244. So instead of everybody cramming this number, then inputting this thing in the search bar, we don't really know. It's going to be stressful to cram the IP addresses of all the websites in the world, or all the websites that you want to access. No, instead, the name comes in handy. You get it? But there's always a process between pressing that name, then you press enter. Something must have happened along the line. The next slide is going to explain that to us properly. It's very good to understand all these things that go on, because when you are using a tool, say you want to intercept a request, you need to know what's going on. Okay, I'm the sender. I'm the one sending this request. This request has been intercepted, has been gotten. What do I do with this request? How do I manipulate this request? Do you understand? Oh, I'm saying do you understand? Nobody to answer. Okay. Please, if you understand what I've been saying so far, just at least let me send something to the Telegram group, then you just give a thumbs up. Do you understand? So just give a thumbs up to the message I sent. Like, react to it. Like, you can, yes, exactly. No, I mean, like, some of us just tag that message, then you like tag the message instead of you sending your own message. Messages are going to be like plenty here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you react to that message. Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. I can see the stops. Yeah, like next time when I ask like a general question, like, do you understand? Mr. EB, please take your message away from the announcement section. You don't actually have to type the message like as a new message. Just react to my message you can click on the message, then like it, or if you don't understand, you can put like a thumbs down. If the class is too boring, you can put like a crying emoji. Like that class is boring. Because they are talking too much. Something like that. All right. So let's proceed. Still on that, what happens when we you type a URL and press enter? Okay, so I would explain. I might not actually explain exactly the way it's on the screen, but I will try to use what's on the screen to explain it to you so that if you've read it before, you understand what I'm saying 100%. Okay, so now what happens? Basically, when you press a URL, that's URL, the meaning of URL now, uniform source locator, like www.whatever.com. Yeah. When you press the URL and you just press enter, a lot of things actually happen behind the scene, which before you are being connected to the website. Now, let me just break it down in a simple way. Just like the way it has been broken down on the screen. Still, I'll break it down further. First of all, there's something they call DNS query. DNS query. You know what it is to query somebody now? They're like you're asking a question. Yes, you are querying the person, you're asking a question. You can use QUE to remember. Now, your browser needs to find out the IP address of that website. Now on this screen, what you can see is provirex.com. So now your browser needs to find out the IP address of that website, provirex.com, so that it can connect to it. Now, what happens next? It's going to ask the DNS recursive resolver. That's what it's going to do next. That's the next thing. Now, what happens after we already know that your browser needs to find out the IP address of that website that you are actually looking for. So now your computer will ask a DNS recursive resolver that is actually provided by your internet service provider, MTN or whatever it is you are subscribing to. Now, it's going to ask that DNS recursive resolver to find the IP address of that website you are looking for. So what happens next? Now, the DNS resolver we now ask, you see a picture to explain it. If you've gone through the material, you see a picture that way. The DNS resolver will now ask a root name server. To ask a root, just use this as an example. Asking a root name server. Hello, where can I find .com domains? So the root name server will now respond with something like to respond with the address of the .com CLD, that's top level domain, which you can see on the screen. Now, it will now still ask again. It will now ask that, like, it will create that CLD name server. Now, like, what I mean is the DNS resolver will ask the .com CLD name server, where can I find that website that you put, that provirex.com, where can I find it? The CLD name server will now give the address of the specific domain name server that knows about provirex.com. I hope you are getting the logic. Now, the DNS resolver will now ask the domain name server, what is the IP address of that website that you put now? What's the IP address of provirex.com? Now, the domain name server, let me be funny, being authoritative. No, not actually a funny reply. Yeah, replies with the actual IP address. Now that the IP address has been seen, that IP address that you cannot put in your head, that you cannot cram in your head, that the IP address has been gotten, the DNS resolver will now send IP address back to your computer. It's actually the IP address that we need. Yeah, so now that the browser knows the computer, it will now connect it directly connect to the website server and load that page that you are looking for, be it www.betniger.com. That's a funny example. Right? So that's basically what happens behind the scene when you type a URL and you then press enter. So basically, all the things I've been saying, if we just want to summarize it, you can just say the computer asks for directions, and a few other computers help guide it to find the exact location of the website. That's all. We know that the website is actually a server that is located somewhere in the world. The US, could be Russia, I don't know. So moving on to the next, this is like a diagrammatic explanation of all those things I said. Yeah, I don't want to repeat them again, but by looking at all these things, you can now get like what I say exactly. So moving to the next is what you call DNS hacking. You must have gone through it. Sorry, not hacking, hijacking. So moving further, you can it's actually expected that you've gone through all this. Yeah. I'll still come back to explain this in full details. This method get, then the protocol version, then the path and the likes of. I will still explain it to you properly. So we've talked about this before in previous classes. The TCP connection, talking about that SYN hack. Yeah. Now this one is very important. Why is it important? It's important because you need to. That's you be able to link it up. When we start using Bob, there are some when you just like when you send a request. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. When you send a request to like a server, just like normal human relationship now, you send the okay. Let me use boyfriend and girlfriend. Boyfriend like ask a girl out. The idea is that she's actually meant to respond. She's meant to respond. Same thing applies. So now, we take for example, you search for www.facebook.com/login. So let's assume that's the URL for login page. It's actually meant to bring you a login page, right? For you to bring that login page to you successfully, looking at the HTTP status code that we have, that's like a 200 code that's already been indicated, or 2xs means 200 series. That's 200, 201, 2 whatever, to 299. 1xs means 100 series. 3xs means 300 series, 4 and the likes of that. So now all those things, 1xs is like informational, telling you like, give you like a kind of direction as per what to do, hold on, where it's you have to do. 2xs, like I explained, is for success. When you get asking for, you actually have a 200 response code. So if I show you a response from a site, and the first thing you are seeing is 200, you know that that's a success reply. It means that thing you actually asked for, you got it. Access redirection. Take for example now, if you remember very well, I don't know if you used to download movies from all these sites. I used to do that back then, and there is this popular stuff. You click on a link, instead of them take you to where you have to go to, they will take you to one funny website. You get something you don't even know at all. They will take you there. Sometimes it's intended. They'll take you to one website before they now redirect you back to what you actually need. So if you are to view all those processes using Bob, what you are going to get is a 300 series kind of response. 4xs is 400 series. That's talking about error messages. Now, client error, yeah, not actually from the server. Now, it could be 404. The popular one that we know very well is 404, which is what you will see something like, I think you see 404 server error or something like that. But not actually server is like error from the site. Probably the page that you're looking for is not there, or one thing or the other is not there. Let's look at this in more details. Very popular ones that we have. So now see 301, that's stuff you're looking for, move permanently. I don't need to start explaining all these things that you can see on the screen, but for the sake of those that have not just read it, let's just touch the popular ones. 404. Very popular, not found. You must have seen this 403 forbidden. Yeah. Then these ones, I'm not talking this 404 and 403, normally show it on the web page. You're going to see it. I'm talking, you're not using Bob this time around. You're going to see it live. That's if you really browse the internet. Same thing with this 504. You must see something like say for example, you are trying to read the site and it's taking too much time. Some websites will tell you request timeout. You get it? So you can go through others yourself. Now, the idea of proxy server, I've already talked about it before. What a proxy server is. Now, let me just explain it briefly. Look at that fox or that cat or that animal that has a laptop in front of him. Sorry, 1 minute. Look at that animal that has a laptop. If someone trying to browse the internet, say you want to check Facebook page, login page. Then this is the server. Look at the server. The server is the one at the extreme right. That's the one that will provide the information for him. Now, but there's somebody standing in the middle. That's like proxy. That's like a it's not a kind of attack, but let me use the word man in the middle. That's like a okay. Then let me use the word man in the middle. But man in the middle is the name of an attack. Let me use the word person in the middle. Person in the middle. This is a person in the middle. So now it's serving as a proxy server. That's just one or two persons, then I'm good. Someone should please. Okay, thank you very much. So let's proceed. Sorry, please. I'm no longer transmitting, right? Like I'm no longer sharing, right? I mean the video. Some of I mean, sorry, please. 1 minute. Okay, okay. I actually need to like allow someone to talk. Someone, let me allow you to talk. At least see your assignment and you. One of the let's say top performing or whatever.
Hello, I
Okay,
don't know what
please,
the question is.
Samuel. No, it's not a question. Just like I would communicate. Take for example, I can't. I want to be sure of something. I'll just communicate with you.
Oh, all right.
Christiana is actively involved in something,
Okay.
right? So I stopped sharing. I would continue sharing now. So yeah, I was talking about proxy server. So I was just trying to tell you what the proxy server can do. I already explained this thing before, anyways, but I'll still say it again. Like the other time I used the message, like you're sending a message to somebody. Let's say I want to send a message to a female. I didn't write I love you. I then send, let's say someone is the proxy, is the man standing in between me and the actual recipient. That recipient is the server. And I then I then give somebody a message. Someone now looks at the message. Someone can actually decide not to give it to her, can decide to block it, can decide to do what I asked him to do, and he can also decide to manipulate it. That's going to like change the content. So the moment it does that, that can actually modify the content. That's what I'm trying to say. Good. So moving further, we still have like something like that, just like explaining what a proxy does in real sense. So now look at this plenty information here. HTTP headers and useful HTTP request headers. This is what you're going to see. You will see all these things a lot, and I'm going to explain them a lot when we move to Bob. When we are talking about how to use Bob Suite, you will see all these things a lot. Hosts, user agents, referrer, cookie, and the likes of them. No, I will explain it further. I will explain it very well when I'm explaining the usage of Bob. Moving on to the next one. Still on this, we'll still explain it. We'll still explain it again. Yeah. I'm not going to explain all these ones yet. When we are using Bob, we'll talk about all of them. So this slide 37 is saying exactly the same thing I explained earlier on. Now, same origin policy. Let me just quickly, in a nutshell, let me explain what same origin is. Sorry, Benedicta, do you have a question? Benedicta, do you have a question? If you have a question, you can ask, so I'll just answer right away. Sorry, is it my network? Samuel, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I
So
can hear you
Benedicta, most
too.
likely. Okay, Christiana is back.
Yeah, I had a glitch, but I'm back.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Where I stop. Yes, I was going to explain the concept of same origin policy. I just feel it's nice, like know, you know what it is. Um, okay. Now, one thing you should just remember is this. Oh, somebody's asking a question. What is the function of the proxy? Proxy I just explained. Okay, actually, it has a lot of functions, but let me just tell you the one that really concerns you, not just talking about a lot of things. So basically, like I said, it's as an intermediary between the client. This client is like your web browser, like it could be your Firefox, it could be your Google Chrome, and a server. This server is like any website server. It could be Facebook, could be Bet Niger, could be scholarship web, whatever it is. Now, so another thing, that's what first thing is it serves as an intermediary. I'm actually spending my time to explain this because you're going to use it very, very well. You're going to use that proxy very, very well. Ordinarily, websites will not just allow you, that web browsers will not just allow you to come and manipulating requests anyhow. Like there are some things you cannot just do. You have to just use like a proxy to run it up. So now another thing it does is that it handles requests from the client. You know what I mean by client, and it forwards them to the server. At the same time, it returns the server's response back to the client. You get it? So if you want to go further, talking about the function, it can actually hide your IP. That's the client's IP. It can hide your IP. It can hide your IP. It can filter out content. You can use it to manipulate content. You can use it to like control some kind of stuff. You can use it for caching. That's to store cache. I don't know how they read that stuff. Cache. You can use it to store it here. So and lots more. That's a lot of like functions. Right. So now I was talking about same origin policy. I would explain cookies. Maybe after I finish explaining same origin policy. So yeah, now you see this same origin policy here is a just know it as one key which word do I use for it? Like a key security feature that is used in different web browsers to if you want to prevent malicious websites from accessing data from other websites, they use same origin policy for it. Now, what does it do essentially? It's in a way ensure VPN. Yes, VPN in a way, yes, VPN, yes. Mr. Peters is correct. Yeah. So talking about the same origin policy, let me go back to it. So what does it do essentially or basically? It actually ensures that the script running on a web page can only interact with content from the same origin. I don't know if that's like making sense. You may be like, what does that origin now mean? Yes, that origin actually refers to like a combination of the protocols, domains, port number, basically like that URL. Not all, everything is URL necessarily. Let me break it down further. Now, you see that idea, same origin policy, is very key for you to understand it. It's actually very, very key. Now, origin, let me break it down. Origin, that word origin, is actually like is defined by the protocol. The protocol is using, protocol I'm talking about could be HTTP, HTTPS, the FTP, the different protocols that we have here. I'm just trying to explain this because explain it, go deeper for the sake of those that not really go through the fundamentals or the basics. So now it's actually defined by like the protocols, the domain. That domain is like the host name. Also the port of the URL could be port 8080. Generally, this port 8080. Yeah. Yep. For example, a very good example is like, let's say the URL https://example.com, then colon 8080. You know that example.com is like the host name, then the 8080 is like the port number. Let's say you now put slash page. It has the same, or it has the origin https example.com, then 8080. So take for example another URL such as http colon slash slash, let me see that example.com that I used, will be considered a different origin. These things I'm saying, let me just type it in the ask your question section, sure you understand it very, very well. Let me use Peters. Let's say there's a website like www.peters.com. So let's say we have http slash slash, let's just say peters.com. Now I'm not really sure, but you know it's what my web is, so you might not put it. So peters.com slash login page. So let's say there's a website like this. Now it's very, very essential to know that this website and this website, they don't have the same origin. They're not originating from the same place. http colon peters.com slash login page. Look at those two things I put. Look at the ask your questions section. You discover that you see that first one and the second one, they don't have what? The same origin. Now, can someone tell me the difference? Can someone tell me like what way exactly? One is secure, one is not secure. One is actually HTTP. That's actually different to both of them. One is actually HTTPS, the other one is just HTTP. Yeah, that's correct. So now there's something they call okay, there are actually restrictions that are imposed by same origin policy. Now, let's call it SOP instead of calling it in full. SOP actually restricts how scripts usually, not only normal, it's always JavaScript. So if you know how to write JavaScript, you have a plus here. So they actually restrict like scripts one origin. Like they restrict how the script from one origin can interact with resources on another origin. I don't want to go into details explaining this. Let me just talk about why it matters, like why it is actually very, very important. Now, the reason why it's important is like to prevent there's something called SSS attack. I think I've talked about it before, cross-site scripting attack. Yeah, where one script from one site can potentially steal sensitive information from another site, like sensitive data, session cookies, and the likes of that. Okay, that's the main reason why it is important. A typical example or a practical example so that you understand it very well. Let's say you are logged into a bank's website. Let's say that bank's website is HTTPS. Let me type it on the distance so you see it very HTTPS colon slash slash colon slash slash let's call it victorbank.com. Let's say you are logged into that website. So just HTTPS colon slash victorbank.com. Now, the same origin policy ensures that malicious script from, let me say, one crazy website, let's say http colon slash slash funnybadwebsite.com. funnybadwebsite.com. Now, I'm sure you know for sure that those two guys, they don't have the same origin. So you cannot actually access this website cannot access your bank information. Let's say you are banking with Victor Bank. That this www.funnybad website cannot access this stuff. Now, without same origin policy, that malicious script cannot read sensitive data. Okay. So what I just say? Could actually read sensitive data. No, cannot. It could actually read sensitive data. That's without SOP. So with SOP, like security policies are already like put in place. Now let's quickly delve straight into URL. Let's explain what URL like. We already know what they mean, but let's try to explain it properly. So let's take our slide there. Okay. Now look at the website. Look at what you can see. Let's just quickly break it down. You know what the URL means? URL is like uniform resource locator. Is a like a reference or address that's used to access different things on the internet. Anything you want to access, you can access. So let's break it down. Let's break it down. We have looking at what you have on the screen. We have let me see this showing. Okay, good. Looking at what you have on the screen, you have HTTPS. That's the protocol which I talked about before. Yeah, the protocol. The protocol is just like is used to protocol is like in not sure like rules and regulations. Rules and regulations. That's in not sure. Not that it's asking if a technical expert or somebody an expert that's used to explain what protocol is. They're telling the person rules and regulations. Just like rules, regulation patterns that data connection that is established must actually follow. So you know this is what we are seeing in this space. We have commons like HTTP, we have FTP and the likes of that. So the protocols actually tell how data is transferred over the network. Yeah. Take for example now this HTTPS that we are seeing. What it means is that the data is transferred securely, like it's actually encrypted. It's like it's transferred securely. Can someone tell me the kind of encryption that it uses? I'm sure we've done cryptography. What's the kind of encryption that HTTPS is using as is different from it's different from HTTP now. So what kind of encryption? There's something like something slash something. If you know it, let me just see your hands up. Anybody? It's meant to be something like you tell me. I don't want to say. I don't want to give any hints. If I give any hints now, there's a very high chance you get the answer correctly. Anybody? Oh my goodness. Nobody? Okay. Okay, nobody. SSL/TLS encryption. Yeah, it's just now I'm saying that the answers are now coming in TLS. A lot of you are saying TLS. SSL/TLS encryption. So let's move on to the next. Let's talk about that host name. Host name. Like now, using this example that we have here, www.example.com. You might not actually put www. We know that is World Wide Web that we are using. So if you want to put just example.com, we are fine. So now the host name is like the domain name that identifies the server that is hosting that resources, that particular resources that we are looking for. So the host name is the one it actually identifies that server that is hosting that resource. Just as it sounds now, host name is the one hosting it. You get so basically what does it do? It just translates the IP address through that DNS that I explained before. It translates the IP address through the DNS. So take for example that example that I use, example.com, that's the domain, and www. That's www is a subdomain. It often refers to like the main website. So moving next, we have our ports. This time we use 4,000, right? The port number, remember that our mmap class when we're talking about port number, the way different things use their different port number. So for this particular one, the port number is actually to tell the communication endpoint on the server. Yeah, so different services, they use different port number. For example, HTTP, we use port 80. HTTPS, we use 443. So there's sometimes that you already know a port number, you already know the protocol that is already attributed with. Okay. Now, next thing is what? Paths. I'm not going to explain paths. Just like if you understand the word directory in Linux, when we're explaining Linux, paths also serves that kind of function, like directory. So if you say www.facebook.com/login, facebook.com/login, that login, that /login is already like a path, like a direct, or like a tool. You're going to this place, or like a direction that you are going to, or like a directory. Exactly, the page directory, correct. Yeah. So now moving on to the query. Now the query string is actually used to pass. Let's say you want to add more parameters to the URL. The query string is used to like pass additional parameters to the not necessarily URL, because I'm breaking down URLs like the resource. Yeah. Now, ordinarily it starts with a question mark and is always followed by key value pairs. The best way of understanding these key values pairs, I don't know. I don't know. We are coming from different backgrounds here. But if you at a point studied computer science, or you studied it, I think it's computer science. Where you are maybe SQL, or you are studying, you will see something like key, then something like value. That's key is actually used to refer to what's in the value. See the way we wrote user, then who's the user? Then we now wrote Alice there. We wrote year. What's the year? Then we now wrote 2019. So the key is that user, then the value is that Alice there. It's just good you know all these things, because take for example now I want to perform like one SQLi. That time I'll start saying it as though you already know SQL. So that's that on that. So that's basically that. Oh, I didn't explain fragments. How do I explain fragments? I don't really know the best explanation for fragment, but I think it points to a specific section in the resources. Yes, I think it points to a specific section. I think like the example that I gave there now, that P2, I think it's referring to like page 2. So it points to a specific section of a particular resource or resources. Resource, I mean. So that's that on that. So they're actually explaining it further, all the things I explained. Cookies and session. Let me just explain cookies in short, because you always see it. Even sessions, you always see it. Even in websites, some of us visit websites and we don't really know we don't really know all these things. See them. Sorry, 1 minute. Just want to be sure this thing is explained very, very well. All right. Okay. So cookies and sessions. So basically, what are cookies? They are just like very small pieces of data that websites actually store on their computer when you visit them. You get what do? They just help the website to remember things. That's what you were doing before. Basically, things about you, like your login status. So you discover that when the stuff has expired, like a reminder. Yeah, like a reminder. Like when the stuff has expired, they say cookie session has expired or something. So sometimes they give you like preference. Sometimes they like different, like take for example you're shopping, different things that you've added to your shopping cart. Yeah. So by so doing, when you come back to that site maybe another time, it can actually give you like a more what's the best word? Personalized experience. Yes. It can give like a more personalized experience. Yeah. Without, you don't need to start from like the very beginning, like over and over again. Can see something here, simple example that they explained. So going through everything here, you can actually get like more details into more details about what other things I've said. All right, so that's going to be that about that. Remember, I said 3 to 4. We are dealing with the some basic web security essentials. Then from 4 to 5, we are going to be talking about tools. So if you have any question, please do ask.